Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast where it is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It is December the 16th, 2022. My name is Kerry Holzman, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. I see a bunch of you waiting for the show to begin. I love that excitement and enthusiasm. And, you know, this last week or two, I've been showing off a lot of mini PCs. I showed off the first one in April, I want to say, of 2013, and there weren't many to choose from. It's taken a while, but now the mini PC is becoming more and more common, more and more affordable, and I love to see where they're going with the mini PC. So many other manufacturers have jumped on board, and you know, it takes a while sometimes for the idea to catch on with the public, just making them aware of what it is and what they can expect from it compared to, say, a laptop or a tablet or a desktop or a Chromebook. Takes a while to get into the minds of the everyday folks, right? The enthusiasts and the hardcore people in the industry. Obviously, they go to the trade shows, they see this stuff even before it, quite often before it goes out to the public, things like the Consumer Electronics Show, which is, of course, designed for the press and for buyers. And I am so happy to see how the mini PC has evolved. I haven't really been visiting this topic very much since 2013. And back then I said I would evaluate that unit every year to make sure that my reviews, unlike other reviews, where you just hear about the product one time, they'll make a recommendation whether or not to buy it, and then you never hear from it again, right? So we don't know what's that thing like to live with. Well, that mini PC from April 2013 is still in use today. It's never had a problem. I've never had to repair anything. Everything's the original parts, and that's a good sign of what to expect moving forward. Now, there are a couple of companies in this space that are innovators in the mini PC space. You've got some mini PC vendors that are sort of buying generic units and slapping their name on it. Then you've got other manufacturers that are actually doing cutting edge designs that are unique, that only they sell. And I've got one such today, and it's a company called Minisforum, which is, you know, seems like an odd thing. It sounds like it's a forum where people talk, but the Minisforum has created a line of mini PCs that are really pushing the edge of what can be done with them. The one I have in front of me today is the Minisforum UM690. They call it their Venus series. And the model I have is I have to get my glasses out here. It's 16 gigs of DDR5 with a 512 gig solid state drive. Now, you can buy these as a bare bones where you provide your own storage and RAM right at around a $500 price point. And you can even get that cheaper by signing up on their, creating an account on their website. And if you buy it direct, you can save some money by going straight to the manufacturer. And I also want to show you some of the other units besides this they have, because they're very cool. Things I've never seen the likes of before. And I want to give a special shout out to Phil over at Minisforum for reaching out and offering this for review. I'm not getting paid for this review. Minisforum did send me the PC, which you can see I still have it shrink wrapped. I have not opened this. We're going to do the first time experience and unboxing with the Minisforum Venus series UM690. This is intended as a gaming PC. Now, once again, when we talk about mini PCs and we talk about the inability to add a discrete graphics card, in this case, what we're using is the onboard graphics with the AMD Ryzen chip, which is what they call RDNA 2. And you can play pretty much all the games as long as you're not pushing the settings too high. Certainly you could do 1080, and then with regards to what sort of settings within the graphics level of that game will vary depending on the game, but certainly at low settings or at the most perhaps medium settings on most, which is fantastic. Now, there are other YouTube channels that have shown many games on these. I'm not going to repeat what other people have already done in that regard, and I'm not a gamer just because I just don't have time. But I did a little research before I started this video in learning more about what Minisforum is, and I was blown away by what I learned. So without further ado, let's do the unboxing. Oh, and hello and thank you to all my friends in blue and all the members. And thank you to Peter Laycock, who contributes a 50-pound super chat contribution before the show started. He says, "Good evening, Kerry, and everyone in the chat. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh is 37 degrees Fahrenheit, which is negative 3 degrees Celsius. Whew, sounds a little chilly. I will say we're reaching similar temperatures here in Phoenix at night, at least for a couple of days, and then we'll get into the 40s at night the rest of this week. But I'm enjoying this cold weather. I haven't put a jacket on yet. I just got there. It's 57 degrees in the afternoon, and most people are wearing coats. I'm just out there like this going, hey, this feels great. What's going on here? But thank you, Buster. Thanks for the contribution and your continued support. And to all my friends in green, the members, and all my friends in blue, and people in the chat that are neither green nor blue. They're white. These are regular folks that may be new here. And if you stick around and become a familiar face, show that you're kind to other people, I would gladly turn you blue in time. Or you can become a member for $9.99 a month. We're going to do members only Mondays. That's going to be starting up here. I think I'm going to start it this Monday, where I will do going to be more or less private videos that are going to be just for members that will never be made public. So those videos are not as noisy or chaotic. They have far less viewers, but it's more one-on-one time with me without the competition and noise of all the other viewers. So a little bonus for that, as well as some special deals I'm offering or will be offering for my members as well. I want to make sure people understand that by supporting the channel in that way, it keeps me from having to grab sponsorships and have to shill for products. Any products you see me shilling for, they're products I recommend, or they are products that were sent to me for free to evaluate. But they don't just send products randomly. They ask me, can we send you this? If it's a product I'm not interested in, if it's a product I think I'm not going to have nice things to say, I simply say no thank you. Once again, with Minisforum, wasn't familiar with them. And I don't know if I've been under a rock this whole time, but before I unbox this, I want to take you over to their website and show you the details on this machine. And I want to show you some of the other really cool machines they have over at Minisforum. So I'm going to simply change my window capture to my browser page here. Do that. And I have to click the share button. That should do it. Here we go. All right, so this is what we have today. This is the UM690. You'll see the base price at $499, which is an AMD Ryzen 9 6900HX. This is the bare bones, so you would provide your own RAM and your own storage. Now you can set this up so you don't have to do anything if you want different configurations. We have this first one, the 16 gig of RAM with 512 gig solid state drive, NVMe solid state drive at $649. You can see there's an ability here to get 10% off of that already great price. Then of course they've got the 32 gig of RAM with the 512 and with the 1 terabyte priced accordingly. You'll probably find it's cheaper to have it already set up for you than to buy the parts separately. However, it's up to you. It's super easy to get into it and upgrade it. And they have different adapters for the US, the EU, Australia, the UK, and Japan. We scroll down through the website, we can learn a little bit more about the unit. This has USB 4. Now, I've never had anything with USB 4 before, so I've got an interesting test up my sleeve. I want to experiment. Oh, so people are worried about the heat that comes off of these, especially when you're at a flagship high-end processor like the portable version of the Ryzen 9 6900HX. Well, these folks are using a liquid metal as the thermal compound between the heatsink and the CPU. I don't know any other mass manufacturer that's doing that. And as I mentioned, this will be my first USB 4 test. It looks exactly like USB Type-C, USB 3 Type-C. So we're still using the same connectors, but you may have to upgrade cables. And this is a pretty cool breakaway shot here where you can see the options of adding a 2.5-inch drive on the lid, which we don't have, but you could certainly add one, mechanical or solid state, 2.5-inch SATA. You can see how the RAM goes in. The CPU is obviously soldered in there, and the CPU cooler. There's our M.2. And there's a little stand, which is really cool, where you can set this up vertically if you want to, as well as a base plate VESA bracket for mounting it to the back of a monitor. You'll see it's got two vents that are being used to bring air in and 2 vents that are used to bring air out. This is unique. I've not seen any other manufacturer promote this, but when we build desktops, we always talk about the importance of having the air move in one direction. So in this way, the air is sort of moving diagonally this direction, which is very efficient airflow, very well thought of. There should have no heat problems with this computer, no matter how hard you run the system. Of course, the fan will adjust how noisy or loud it will get based on how hot the system is. It's not just going to run at full speed all the time. There's a dual heat sink, and then here is the process of the liquid metal, where they talk about that thermal transfer. Here we've got a clear CMOS button, which is properly recessed. I like that, so you're not going to press it accidentally. Of course, your power button, your 3.5 millimeter headset jack, right, for your speakers or headphones and your microphone. There's our USB 4, which is labeled on the front, and our regular USB 3.2 Gen 2, which you're not going to be able to use for charging anything. It's a data only. This appears DMIC. I'm not quite sure what DMIC is. Is it a microphone? I'll have to look that up. On the other side of it, we've got the 19-volt power jack. We've got the Kensington lock, so you can buy a Kensington lock cable to secure it if you're worried about somebody stealing it. It does have a 2.5 gig LAN, as well as 4 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, 2 here, 2 there, 2 HDMI outs that support 4K at 60 Hertz. And of course, you can do another video out with the USB 4, so you could have a total of 3. In the box, this is everything we should expect to receive. That's your little SATA adapter to, if you wanted to add a 2.5-inch SATA drive, you'll need this cable. Stand, power adapter. I think that's a USB 4 cable. Documentation. There's some screws for mounting the VESA bracket, as well as the 2.5-inch drive if you want to add those things. Some other documentation, it looks like, and of course the computer itself. And then of course you've got your reviews here, and if you look through what else they have, boy, there was one that caught my eye last night, and I'm drooling over it. But where is it? I'm going to find it here in a second. Our story. There's the story of Minisforum here. And I want to look up products. So here are some of the products that are available, and they always have new designs and products coming out. What I am particularly interested in, if I can find it, I think I just need to look generally under products. That's just giving me the specifications. Let's go to shop. Here we go. Now I'm cooking with gas. Look at this bad boy. This thing is wicked. This, hopefully we'll get one in for review, but this thing is super skinny. It's the NUC XI5 and NUC XI7. And check this out. Look at the specs on this thing. It has a 3070 built-on laptop graphics card. So it's not the same power as a desktop 3070. But you can see here using the Intel Core i7-11800H. Scroll down here. Yeah, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 and 3070, depending on how you have the machine configured. It's a bit taller, a bit longer than a normal mini PC, but there's something about that just, I didn't even know such a thing was in existence. So remember when I tell you these guys, they create their own stuff here, and they've got some really cool out-of-the-box thinking on all of their designs, quite frankly. So again, I'm gonna click over on Shop, and I just want to see everything that's available. They're hitting all different price points. They have AMD, they have Intel, they have machines designed for gaming, they have machines designed for work. You know, they start, looks like around $199. And look at how many they have to choose from. There's 2 full pages of product here. So that's the company we're dealing with that just should establish, I would hope it establishes anyway, some confidence in that this isn't a company that's going away anytime soon. This is not one of those companies that is coming out of nowhere, selling product and then disappearing with your money. They're there to support the product and hopefully to have you keep you coming back, buying some more. I think it's pretty darn cool. Now let me go back to my YouTube page here. There we go. Kate Cordius Technology with a $10 super chat says, the router is flawless. There are no scratches. It came in a white box, but the cost savings, who cares? My current speed with 35 devices are 975 up and 4172 down. Thank you for sharing. That router, that Netgear RAX 120 router, just dropped in price again to $114 and change. For US residents with free shipping, they had 11 in stock. That's a $230 router that I paid $400 for, by the way. So I appreciate the follow-up. And even though they say that the product could have a scratch on it or whatever, I've yet to receive any product that has any noticeable scratching. And furthermore, you have free returns to Amazon for, well, if you buy now, at least until the end of January. So there's peace of mind if you're looking to buy a really good Wi-Fi 6 router. I'm telling you guys, if you're in the USA, snatch up that RAX 120 from Netgear, available under the used section. It's actually just a returned product. You may not get the original box, you may not get the documentation, but you get everything. You get the router, you get the power supply, and you get the Ethernet cable, which is all you need. Everything else can go in the trash. So thanks for the follow-up, Kay Cordius. Bob R. has been a member now for 7 months. Right on, Bob. Thank you for supporting the channel since I introduced those memberships. Dwayne Blackwater with a $20 contribution says, this is to support all the great work you do. I really appreciate it all. Well, thank you, Dwayne. I appreciate you, my friend. And furthermore, I've got some really cool stuff coming up for more products I can't wait to show you that I purchased earlier this week using Super Chat contributions and gift cards that folks have sent. Thank you to Angel Valentine for sending an Amazon gift card earlier this morning. You might remember we built a computer for Angel back in, I think it's been about 2 or 3 years now, and he's still using that computer today. He loves it. So he's a American military veteran who's retired, and always wonderful to hear from him. It's nice when I haven't heard from somebody in a long time that when they reach out to me, they're not reaching out to me for any other reason but to say, hey, computer's still working great. And then, throwing in an Amazon gift card, it's always super cool because that enables me to buy products that I can evaluate. So with that in mind, I want to start the unboxing here. So I think we'll put Camera Girl to work. So we'll get that set up. And Dorado Systems says, hello, Kerry. What do you think about making a mini PC business to sell worldwide? Oh, that's not for me. The tooling and manufacturing, the research, the testing, the quality control, the customer support. I would much sooner align myself with a reputable mini PC manufacturer and give them my endorsement before I would compete with them, because they're miles ahead of where I am. Their engineers are far better educated than I am, and they already have an established fan base, so you're not starting from zero. And everything, all the research I've done on Minisforum, it just upsets me that I wasn't made aware of this company earlier. So again, I want to thank Phil, who was in our chat room. I don't know, is Phil in there now? If so, say hello, Phil. If you're watching the video right now live, keep in mind the video has to be live, not a replay of a live video. Then you're going to see this chat room. And to participate in this chat room, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel. It's completely free. And once you have subscribed for over 1 minute, you are allowed to participate in the chat room. So I hope if anybody's having any difficulties chatting, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and give it 1 minute, and you should be able to chat. Now, if there's a comment section below this video, then you're watching a replay that's no longer live. And that's how you can tell. And that's universally the case with all YouTube videos. And I just want to see if there's any other questions. Once again, Kcordius Technology, thank you for the follow-up. Kelly Stewart says, good afternoon, Kerry. According to YouTube, I'm a member for over 9 months. See, now that's the thing, Kelly. I don't think membership has been around 9 months. You might be confusing subscription with membership, because you should have the little Kerry logo, you'll see people in green and people in blue that have the white logo, my logo next to their name. That shows membership. That's how we can tell who is members in the chat room versus moderators. And of course, there's no way to tell, as far as I know, if somebody's just a subscriber. But we'll have to look into that, Kelly, because if you're a member, then things are not working as they should. Dwayne says, I noticed all the membership badges look the same now. That's temporary. I wanted something more specific. We had some generic membership badges, and I'm working on changing the longer you're a member, but I want to do it in a way that makes it pretty clear to people that don't know what's going on. So haven't quite figured that part out yet, but there's the opportunity for me to change the badges at, new member, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 1 year, 2 year, and I think that's as far as it goes right now. So when I have some time to play around, it's a very small little space I have to work in. You can see how tiny that icon is. I didn't want the icon to be white like that, but the minute you take away the white background, because my logo is black and the chat room background is black, you can't see much. It doesn't make any sense. So I am still working on that design, and if any of you want to submit some designs, they have to be super tiny. What is it, like 400 by 400? Or
32 by 32.
What is it, 32 by 32?
32 pixels by 32.
32 pixels wide and 32 pixels long. So if you have some ideas and you want to kick them over to me, I appreciate it. All right, let's go over to the handheld close-up camera so we can unbox the mini PC. So I'm going to switch my camera input to, come on over. There we go. All right. As you'll see, there is no prep, there's no rehearsal, there's no script. Everything is live, everything is done in one take. And I haven't even so much as taken off the shrink wrap. So we're going to experience this for the first time together. I like to keep my videos fully transparent, organic. I don't do any search engine optimizations. As a computer technician for more than 30 years, new computer stuff doesn't scare me, but sometimes it throws me throws me a curveball. So we never know what we're about to encounter here. You can see here on the back how the specifications are outlined. And here we go. First of all, great packing. I really like how, they have about 2 inches all the way around, which is, when I'm shipping a desktop computer, that's the rule. 2 inches of packing around all sides. We've got a tips card. They're recommending not to remove the CPU cooler because of the liquid metal material. It's tricky. And we're not going to do that today. We've got a little documentation here. And I like these little, see these little holes right here? You know what that's for? So you can get your fingers in there. Even that, something so simple, very few manufacturers do. It looks like pretty much the standard size of a regular mini PC. So it's hard to believe it's got all this power. You'll often find that if I'm reviewing the mini PCs that are super powerful or promoted as gaming machines, they're often bigger, they're longer, or they're a bit wider. And this one just looks pretty well standard. Oh, there's our vents along all 4 sides. There's our connectors. And on the bottom, mounting points. Now, unfortunately, to take this back off, you have to remove the rubber feet. And when you do that, you're basically peeling away from the glue. I think that's a bit unfortunate. I really wish that it was more accessible without having to peel the feet off. But let's just keep going. Let's see what else we have in the box. Here's all the good stuff right in here. We have our power brick right there. Of course, we have a power cable, it's a standard PC power cable. That's always a welcome thing. We have the little stand right here. This is a nice touch. I've never seen anybody do this before. So now, instead of having the mini PC laying flat, as you would assume it would naturally go in its orientation, with this little stand right here, we can set the Minisforum PC up like this. Oh, let's do it like that. This is like a little grommet like cases have, where it just slides over. And once again, we can put it in this way. We could put it in this way. And that keeps, the little grommet keeps it a nice tight fit. Look at that. Okay, back in the box, we have a short HDMI cable, and that's if you want to mount this to the back of a monitor. You wouldn't want a 6-foot long HDMI cable, right? You just want a short one. And to do that, you'd need this VESA mount, which they have separated out the screws here just for the VESA mount, which is nice. I'm glad they separated those out. These are spare rubber feet, so if you do have to tear the feet off to get to the screws, you can just simply replace them, at least once anyway. And then when you have to get in it again, I don't know what you do, but yeah, it'd be nice if maybe they just had little holes where the screws were so you didn't have to take the feet off. And if this was in all 4 corners so you didn't have to take the other little feet off. That would be one little improvement I would recommend. And then this is that little adapter cable to plug in a 2.5-inch SATA-based drive, whether that's mechanical or SSD. This little plug plugs into the motherboard, and then this is your power and data connector together in one plug. So they give you everything you need to upgrade it, including the spare feet, which was a great thought. I just think it would be better if you didn't have to take the feet off. That's my personal feelings. Now, let me get this put away and let's get this bad boy fired up for the very first time and see how it performs. I'm anxious. Oh, let me get the documentation out of the way. I'm not reading that. You know me. I believe this is Windows 11 Pro, if I'm remembering correctly. Well, let's just turn it on and see. So, let me get this. You know what? I don't have to use this power cable because I have a power cable already set up. That's what's nice about having a standard power cable. That's always a pleasure to see. And then we have to take this wire tie off of here. Here we go. I'm going to step around. Well, camera girl can get us some nice close-ups. Let's see, I'm going to plug my power cable in there. Now, I do not want to give this internet access until after I set up Windows. But I will need a keyboard, a mouse, and a monitor. So, where's my monitor cable? Here it is. Either one of these is fine to use. You don't have to use the top one. You can use either one equally. It auto senses. And, oh, keyboard and mouse, that's what I was going to get. Let me step around here. Move that out of the way. And I'm just going to plug this in to any USB port back here. That's my keyboard and mouse dongle. They share the same receiver. Okay. Now, if I bring it around this way so you can see the other side of it, I'm going to hit the power cable. I'm trying to feel for the power button since I can't see it now. Oh, it's down here. Here, it's right here. Ah, it does stick out. You can feel for it. I'll hit that. You'll see that glows blue. Ooh, I can feel the air coming out the back here. And then let's go over to the HDMI input of the capture card. As we can see, it's starting to load. And while that's loading, you know what I can do? Let's go back over to camera 1. And I'm going to just put myself in a little corner here. You're clear. Okay. Now, just move myself off to the side. We're starting up for the very first time. This is super exciting. And I'm going to go full screen on my side of things so I can see the screen better. You guys already have it full screen, I don't. All right, we're doing our first time setup here with Windows 11. So English, United States, yes. United States is the right country. The US keyboard layout, skipping any additional language keyboard layout. We are going to say I don't have internet, continue with limited setup, and then accept the end user license agreement. And then I can just put in the name user, if I could actually type it out. And I'm going to leave the password field blank. I always leave location settings on so the date and time can always be set automatically. I don't have to deal with it. I turn everything else off. These are my personal preferences and what my customers request most often. When a customer gets a machine that I've configured this way, they can turn on and off this stuff through the control panel. So it's not like what I'm setting up now keeps the machine that way indefinitely. At this point now, it's just going through the finalization of the settings that we just made. And once we get to the desktop, I can either connect to the Wi-Fi or plug the internet cable into it. I didn't do that earlier because it would require me to use a Microsoft account. There's nothing wrong with having a Microsoft account. It's just that I build computers for customers, so I'm not signing into my own Microsoft account only to turn around and sell the computer to the customer. Now, in this case, this is a demo unit. It's not being sold to a customer, but I always set everything up the same. It's consistent, and this helps when you're doing what I'm doing, which is teaching. One of the key components of teaching is repetition. So if I'm doing it one way under certain conditions and another way under other conditions, that better be warranted, because it makes learning more complicated and therefore more challenging to get the education across. So we keep it as simple as we can keep it. We always do it the same. And so you guys that have been watching my channel for a while, you know what to expect. You know what's coming next. We're going to be going to Windows Update and getting whatever updates are going to be missing. This is true of any pre-built computer. Obviously, if you bought the bare bones version, you'd be providing your own solid state drive and your own operating system along with your own RAM, and you'd be doing a clean install. Now, this is Windows 11. I'm sure it could run Windows 10. I can't imagine why not. But if you're building a brand new machine, I don't see any point in putting Windows 10 on it. If you already have a Windows 10 machine, I don't see any point in upgrading to Windows 11 until October, or at least the summer of the year 2025, because Windows 10 is fully supported until October 14th of 2025. So if you're running Windows 10 and you keep getting announcements, like when you go to Windows Update, it might say your computer is not Windows 11 compatible. Who cares? Who cares? Nothing to worry about. Your computer could die, or something could happen, maybe a birthday or a holiday. Somebody gifts you a computer between now and October of 2025. Any new computers will likely have Windows 11 on them, and it's a problem that just solves itself. For me personally, I would not downgrade Windows 11 to Windows 10, and I would not upgrade Windows 10 to Windows 11. Whatever the machine has now, it's fine if it's Windows 10. It's fine if it's Windows 11. I don't see any reason to drag one up or down. It just doesn't really seem to have any benefit for most people. Of course, if you want to do that because you just want to, well, have at it, but don't feel anxiety or pressure because of Microsoft pressing the Windows 11 every time you visit Windows Update. Don't let that get in your head. That's just marketing. All right, as you can see, we're up to the desktop now, and so I can plug in my internet connection, which is just faster than going through Wi-Fi. So we'll just reach over here and plug our Ethernet cable in. This is 2.5 gig, so it does work at 1 gig and 100 megabyte. Finding more and more 2.5 gig as a standard on motherboards now, but not a standard on anything but the higher end routers. And the switches are still expensive to buy, and I wouldn't even have any benefit from using 2.5 gig in my network. It only benefits moving data from one computer to another or to a NAS, and I don't have a NAS that supports 2.5 gig anyway. So once again, you're going to pay a pretty good price to go 2.5 gig. This will eventually get cheaper and more ubiquitous, and give it a couple of years. But for now, it's nice that it's ready for the future. Now I'm going to go over to Windows Update, so I got to use this mouse over here. And under Settings, on the left side all the way at the bottom, we go Windows Update. Now this operating system is already activated, so you don't have to deal with any of that. It's already good to go. And all we're doing is getting the updates that have come out since the PC was manufactured. So look, updates come out on a regular basis. This is inevitable. But if you had a computer sitting on a shelf for a year, you could be doing this for quite some time. Now, my internet connection is pretty slow over here at Studio B. So while we're waiting for these downloads, for these updates, let me go ahead and address any questions you guys have here in the chat room while we're waiting. This thing is whisper quiet, by the way. I imagine if I really push it hard and get the fans to spin up, I'm sure I'd hear it. But right now, it is absolutely whisper quiet. Thomas Bagenstow joins us and says hello, as does Dom Parada. Welcome in, guys. David Herzog. Michael Lovell. James Carter said, today is my 7 months of membership. Right on, James. Thank you so much for supporting the channel since the very introduction of the memberships. That's awesome. Mark wants to know how to get membership. If you scroll down underneath the video where there is a subscribe button, you should see a join button. And I think in the chat, there's a little $ icon at the very bottom of the chat. And I think if you click on that, let's see, I see super stickers, super chat. I'm not sure, there might be a join there, but you'll look for a button that says join, and it's typically right under the video. Chris Johnson said, I've been a regular paying supporter of the channel for 7 months as well. I've not been a member for more than a year. Memberships haven't been offered for a year, that's why. My name is still blue. I hope it changes so I can get access to the Monday shows. Okay, your name doesn't have to be green. You just have to have the little icon next to your name. So if I made you green, I'd actually be demoting you. But you will have access to the members only videos if you have the little icon of my logo next to your name, regardless if it's green or blue, just to alleviate any concern. Russell Starr has joined us. I see Flipper Flop in the chat room along with Hugh. Les Stevenson says, good afternoon, Gary, from a partly cloudy Toronto, Canada, where it's 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that seems to be the temperature today around the world. Pretty coincidental. Mark Leibowitz wants to know, when I do Windows 11, I always have to do the trick to bypass the MS account. Basically, just got to make sure you're not connected to the internet when you're setting up the Windows 11. And what you're seeing is the latest version of Windows 11 Pro. With Home, you might have to do that little dance, but with Pro, Windows 11 Pro, currently as of the latest version of Windows 11, as you witnessed, as long as you're not connected to the network when you're setting up Windows, it just defaults. I mean, it asks twice to connect to a network, but after the second time it asks, it says fine. You know, that's probably going to change, but yeah. Always make sure you're installing the latest version of Windows 11 if you're doing a clean install by just simply typing in the words download Windows 11 into Google. And then one of the first links you'll see takes you to Microsoft. And then you can download the media creation tool for Microsoft and build your USB drive that way. Or you can download a free program called Rufus, R-U-F-U-S, and select that you want to make an ISO image, select that you want Windows 11, and uncheck the box to require a login, and it modifies the install. And I've demonstrated that in videos in the past, so if you want more information, you can Google that or just search here on YouTube for those demonstrations. It's not wide enough to do that. And with those exposed vent holes, you wouldn't want any condensation or dripping happening inside the machine. So don't put liquids on top of it or bottles. Thomas Mac T says, good afternoon from St. Petersburg, Florida. Hey, welcome in, Thomas. Luke Greenia joins us. He said, I sent you $25 via PayPal. I'm very interested in a mini PC. I'm watching very closely when these are being reviewed. How much does this mini PC cost? You can buy it bare bones at $4.99, or you can just rewind the video. There's a little scroll bar underneath the video, and you can pull that back. And right in the beginning of this video that I guess you've missed, I go to the website of Miniforum's website, and I've gone through all of the pricing options. As well, I have added the link in the video notes that you can click on, so you yourself can go to the Minisforum website and look at those specifications at whatever pace you want to look at it, rather than me, rushing through it, so we can get to the good stuff here, which is seeing how it performs. Bob R. wants to know if this Ryzen 9 CPU is equivalent to the Intel i9. Well, that's the idea, right? AMD is trying to mimic Intel's modeling scheme for their equivalent, or what they deem as equivalent or better than Intel's version of that same number. So where Intel's saying i7, i9, i5, i3, there's Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, and Ryzen 9. That's why they do that. But just do know that there isn't just one Ryzen 9 processor. There isn't just one i9 processor. Within the i9 family or the Ryzen 9 family, there are a couple to choose from with varying specifications and prices accordingly. Now, these are the laptop versions of these drives, which are lower power. They are soldered onto the board. So it's not like a desktop i9 or Ryzen 9. Matt Zoloff says, Carrie, I asked yesterday, is PayPal okay to send contributions from today? It always has been, Matt Zoloff. It always has been. Yes, thank you. Garfield in the chat wants to know, would that mini PC work on an HD television? I could lay in bed and use it to play my favorite game, Skyrim. My television has 3 HDMI connections. Yes, you absolutely can, Garfield. You do not need to plug this into a computer monitor. And if you have a television that has an HDMI input, this will work, and at 4K. Think about that. John Doe says it's snowing pretty heavily in upstate New York. I'm giving away free snowmen. Materials are in my driveway. Take as much as you need. Assembly required. Right on. Am I still, what's my status over here on my updates? I can't see. Looks like I'm installing. I'm going to make some changes here to the studio to get me a full-size 2 screens so I can see them both full screen and I don't have to keep going back and forth to see where I'm at. I have windows on top of windows and I have to keep switching back and forth on one screen. And if I set them side by side in smaller windows, the fonts and everything's too small for me to see from 12 feet away. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat room as we're waiting for these updates to install. Vern Mahoney says, I can see the advantage of a mini PC. Hook the thing onto the back of a monitor and you've just cleaned up a lot of footprint. Yes, and you're hiding all the cables too. Just continuing to scroll through the chat to see if there's any other questions I've missed. If you've asked a question I have not answered, it's probably because it got lost in all of the chat comments flying by. Do ask it again, copy and paste it again when I can see it. I'll do my best to provide an answer for you. And also, many of our regulars in the chat are very well educated and provide answers as well. So do watch the chat room for answers to your questions. In many cases, the chat room's answers are better than mine. So, I would highly suggest you don't dismiss the responses you're getting from others in the chat. Icarena says, the problem with mounting it to the back of a monitor is you combine the heat of both. That really shouldn't be a problem unless you've got a plasma screen, which, they haven't made those in a long time. The heat really isn't very very much. And so I do see a lot of obsession by tech enthusiasts over heat. I don't know why this is. I'm not quite sure how many of you have ever really had a problem where heat caused your computer to crash or shut down. A lot of this is all just theoretical talk. This should have no problem running behind a monitor. Its cooling system is very well thought out, and I don't think you could overheat this if you tried. I really don't think you could. Now, we can run Prime 95 on it, and generally speaking, these mini PCs can't compete in cooling with a desktop where you can throw a liquid cooler on there, and you can have a 360 millimeter radiator or larger, which obviously is 3 times the size of the unit. So that's not practical. But you're not going to have any overheating. In fact, if you look at the reviews on this product, look at other YouTube reviews, look at the reviews on the site, Google for reviews on the product, see what the end users are saying. I'm not aware of anybody having any overheating issues, and I just think it's an anxiety that's not justified. So I really don't think it's a problem. Arnold wants to know, I see that there are 2 HDMI connectors. Now I currently run with 3 displays. Is there a 3rd display connector? The USB 4 can be used as a display out. And so yes, that's what you would do, is use the USB 4, and then you can have that go out to an HDMI. Ben Laird says, hello from Scotland, where it's bloody freezing here. I wish it was freezing here. I'm hot all the time. One of these days I have to get out to the UK and visit Scotland and Ireland and Wales, London, maybe stay at a nice little thatched roof cottage in the Cotswolds, have me some fish and chips. Oh, I'd be so happy. Bring on the rain, I say. That's what you say when you've lived in a desert for 40 plus years. Icarana says, I have a Gigabyte Bricks machine with a J1900 and it actually does overheat when it was mounted to a display. Yeah, I can believe that. Does Gigabyte even make those anymore? This is engineered, in my opinion, far better than the Bricks were. I never evaluated the Bricks unit because, once again, if I think there's a product I'm not going to like right out of the gate, then I don't want to bring a product on to bash it. I don't know how old the Bricks unit is. I don't think they make those anymore, but I could be wrong. But in this particular instance, unless you have a plasma monitor, which again, they haven't made those in a long time either, I think you're holding on to a past experience with a particular product, and this is a different product, and it's a different time. So things have evolved as far as cooling goes, especially when you have marketplace leaders like Minisforum with their unique creations and the demanding users that buy these. Trust me, if there's a heating problem, they're going to let you know, the users. These aren't the kind of PCs you just go down to Best Buy and purchase. This is something somebody really has to seek this out. It has to be really understanding what they're purchasing. And so the whole point of making this video is to introduce this brand to you. Because before this video, many of you, much like myself, may never heard of Minisforum. And if you did, you might think, well, it's just a generic build. But it's not. It's completely custom. It's Minisforum own design. And they've learned from, for example, in the liquid metal application, it's not something you can just slap on. If you do that, it's not going to work well. So Minisforum has come up with a unique application method for applying that metal, that liquid metal thermal compound that is unique in the industry. Hugh says, having lived in Sheffield all my life, I would love to live the rest of my life in a much warmer country. Well, let's trade places, Hugh. What GPU is in this? This is integrated into the AMD CPU. So it's an APU unit using the Radeon This is the 680M. Oh, did this finish? I think it finished. Nope, still installing an update here. Once again, don't let my slow internet connection affect what you think of the performance of this machine. It's just waiting on my internet. So, well, right now it's doing an install of a big update. Once that's done, we'll reboot, and then I want to check this USB 4 out. I'm super excited to try that. PC Fishing says, my Chrome browser is now offering Memory Saver that Carrie mentioned the other day, which frees up memory from inactive tabs. I will turn it on. I currently have 49 tabs open. I told you that was coming. Yeah, that's a new feature that Google Chrome has added. If you want to make sure you're running the latest version of Google Chrome, just click on the 3 vertical dots in the upper right corner and then select About Google Chrome. And if there's an update, it'll automatically grab it, install it, and then there'll be a relaunch button. It'll take you right back to where you were. All your tabs will reopen again. You won't lose any tabs. Vodka says, this is a pretty powerful system for little money. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're just getting it started, right? We're just getting the updates on. We haven't even begun to utilize it yet. And as a result, it's whisper quiet. Like I said, I think if we push it hard, we're going to hear the fans kick up. But that's to be expected. But as far as like any overheating and things like that with this unit and this design, you're not going to overheat it. He says he's going to start packing up and get ready for the move. All right, you and me both. Let's just trade places. I'll come out to Sheffield. You can come out to Phoenix. After you spend your first August out here, you'll be begging to go back to Sheffield. Yes, the 3.5 millimeter jack on the front is a combo jack that combines a microphone and headphones for a headset. There are adapters that you can buy on Amazon that can take any 3.5 millimeter combined jack and separate it into a microphone jack and a headphone jack. You can just buy the adapter if you need it. It's really designed as a gaming PC where gamers are going to be wearing a headset and a microphone. That's why it's designed that way. I want to reduce the cable clutter as much as possible, and you can buy those little adapters to break them out into separate microphone and headphone jacks if you want to. Does this computer have a sound card? Yes. Yes, it does. Is this mini PC already on sale? If not, when will it be? It's my understanding it when we go to the website, it says it's a, let me go back to the site. I thought it said it's a pre-sale. Let me go back and show you the specifications since I'm seeing these questions being asked as well. Let's go back to my window capture. Let me turn the HDMI input off for a second. Let's get rid of my camera one so we can read all of this together. We can see that the CPU is the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X. This is an 8-core beast of a CPU that has 16 threads, utilizing the AMD Radeon RX 6600M built-in graphics card. The memory here says DDR4. I thought it was DDR5. Oh, I need to look at that. We're going to just double check which one we've got here. It has storage for an M.2 NVMe, which we're using, a 500 gig, and then an additional M.2 for SATA or NVMe. says it's supporting Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2. Video output is HDMI 4K at 60 hertz times 2. Am I looking up the wrong thing here? I think I'm on the wrong product, maybe. We're over here. I'm looking at the wrong product. We're on the 690. This is the 560, 480. My bad, I'm looking at the wrong product here. This is the HX90G. This is not the one we're reviewing. It's very close. I can see how I got thrown here. Let me go back to Shop and Gaming Mini PC. And we have it looks like it's a pre-sale. It looks like it's not available yet. Is that right? Yeah, the pre-sale is the UM690. So again, bare bones where you put your own solid state drive, your own operating system, your own RAM, $499. That's a bargain. That's going to get you that 6900HX processor. When do we see availability for this? Please note. Okay. You'll see it does support 8K at 60 hertz with dual 4K at 60 hertz. Windows 11 Pro is installed. What is our availability? I assumed it was already available, but I guess it isn't yet. This is their latest and greatest, which explains why they sent this one to me, right? This is the one they want to promote right now. This is their current project. So let's see what happens if I try to buy it. Add it to the cart and check out. If you do sign in, you can get like 10% off. They have like discounts and stuff. It makes me need to connect. Get an account here. That's a very good question. It does say it is a pre-sale. So does that mean they're shipping the first run of them, or does that mean that they've got a run coming out and the pre-sales help them to decide how many to have the factory build? Because the more they build, the cheaper per unit they get to manufacture. Valid question there. I'm going to have to do a little research on that and get back to you on it. It looks like it wants to reboot now, so we'll go ahead and start the reboot process. And while that's rebooting, I'm going to go take a look over in the chat room and see what I'm missing here. And Feral Sparky has posted a link to the Minisforum store, which again, I do have the link in the video notes below the video as well. Shipment, Edward Kenny in the chat said the shipment of these units is at the end of this month. Okay, shipment at the end of December. So that information, I don't know where you're getting it from, but you're all concluding that. It might have been on the screen and I didn't see it. Garfield wants to know if you can use gaming controllers on the mini PC. Yeah, if they're USB, of course, anything USB. Tevin says, yes, it was on the screen that it was shipping at the end of December. Yeah, that figures. Totally figures. Okay, so we're rebooting now. So now, let me go back to my desktop over here. I want to just check for updates one more time. We should have hopefully gotten all the updates. But before I run any tests, we just want to make sure all the updates are in place so that our testing is accurate. Sometimes updates fix issues with performance. Sometimes updates cause issues with performance too, but usually, most of the time, they help make things secure. They might add some features to the operating system, and oftentimes they make things perform better. So I always want those latest updates. And then I've got my little USB utilities flash drive here somewhere, and I'm going to plug this in and copy some files. Oh, there's some antivirus updates. Those are always quick and small. That's it. We're current. We're up to date. So let me now plug in my utilities flash drive. And let's throw VLC on here. I always like to have VLC for a media player. It's free, it's open source. And then we're going to go over to my PC testing software. We're going to grab Crystal Disk Mark, Crystal Disk Info. We'll grab CPU-Z as well. And then I can finish this and close that and close that. And I'm going to remove my flash drive since I'm done with it. All right, so first things first, let's go to the CPU-Z utility and let's take a look at the system specifications. So there we have it, AMD Ryzen 9. I can't see the number from this far away, but I'm sure it's exactly what what the box says it is, but let me just step up. 6900HX. And that is a screaming fast processor, folks. And let's see, what's it say for our main board? Information on our main board here, and BIOS versions listed here. For installed memory, it is DDR5. And if we look at the individual information of each installed module, there are two 8 gig modules, name brand from Kingston, slot 1 and slot 2, which you can remove and upgrade if you want to, or just order it with more to begin with. There's our built-in graphics. If we go over to Crystal Disk Info, we should see more information about the installed solid-state NVMe drive here on the screen. It's also Kingston, so it is name brand storage and RAM. It's always good to see. Over here with Crystal Disk Mark, we can measure the performance of that drive. So let's do that now. And I'll hit the all button here and we'll see what kind of numbers we get. Kenny says my time and date is not right. That'll self-correct, or we can force it by just clicking on it, but it's not going to change anything. It's not off by that much. I haven't looked, but I'm sure it's probably set to the time and date of the country it was manufactured in. So it's more or less a time zone issue, I think. That's typical with any pre-built machine, or even a new motherboard is typically got the date and time set from the factory in the country it was built in. But I don't want to do anything with the computer right now while it's running this test, or it could impact our performance results. But we can easily fix that, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. Is this a PCIe Gen 4 drive? Well, if you're seeing numbers greater than 3,500 megabytes per second, and in this case we're seeing, is that 48 or 4,900? Those are Gen 4 speeds. You can't achieve those kind of speeds at Gen 3. So I can tell you without looking it up, that is a Gen 4 drive, yes. And then I'm curious what the write speeds are going to be on this too. See, Bryce has joined us. Hey, welcome in, Bryce. I'm anxiously awaiting those write speed numbers. Those top numbers, the top left and the top right, are the ones I'm personally most interested in. That's going to show me the maximum speed of reading and writing in the best case scenarios. And that's what I'm really interested in, is what the peak is. Which do I prefer, the Minisforum or the B-Link that we reviewed yesterday? Ooh, that's a tough question, isn't it? Because they're both great machines. They're both spec'd out well. It depends what I was using it for. I think, first of all, the B-Link is physically larger, which may or may not be a selling point or not for you. They're both built extremely well. They both have very similar specifications. They're both very aggressively priced. If I was going to use the mini PC for gaming, I think I would lean towards the Minisforum PC for gaming. When it comes to anything else like video editing, photo editing, or just browsing the web, or Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, it's one or the other. They're really neck and neck for me. I would have a tough choice. But if I was looking to game, if that was going to be a major reason I was buying a mini PC, I would lean towards Minisforum. I absolutely would. I don't think I'd be unsatisfied or dissatisfied with the B-Link. However, the fact that this is as small as it is, that's so impressive. I suppose the only negative I could see is the discouraging removing of the rubber feet to open it up and upgrade it. That's the only thing that I would really nitpick on with this. The fact that the B-Link has that changeable top, I mean, that's a neat little aesthetic, but how often are you going to do that, you know? That's a really tough question. But I have to say, for gaming, it would be this or that other one that Minisforum is selling, that Nook X i7 with the 3070 graphics card in it, which of course is going to be way better than that one. However, it's also much bigger, super thin, but it's tall. I still want to get one of those in here to test it because I'm super excited. You guys want to know the temps? Yes, you know what? I can plug the utilities flash drive back in and check those temps, but there's something else I want to do first. So don't let me forget to check the temps out. First, here's our numbers I'm most interested in, the read and the write on sequential. So 4806 on the read, 3530 on the writes. That's decent. We should be able to get up to 7,000 on Gen 4 if you want to spend more money on a higher end NVMe drive. But I don't think you'd notice a difference. It results in milliseconds of difference in load times. Your Windows isn't going to boot any faster. And unless you're doing a lot of loading, then, you know, like a game that's constantly running the drive, then getting a higher end NVMe drive that can do 7,000 might be in your benefit in that particular scenario. But these numbers are nothing to shake a stick at. They are fantastic. Now, Here's the thing, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but I was testing these SanDisk external drives. Let me go full screen here for just a minute. I was testing these SanDisk external solid-state drives, and this one says we can do 2,000 megabytes of reading and writing performance, but I don't have USB 4 until now. So the fastest I've been able to get these drives to go is about 1,050, which again, nothing to shake a stick at, but I've never seen an external drive run faster than about 17. I take it back. The Thunderbolt drive, which is very expensive, ran I think at 2,700. But here this is standard USB, and I think the reason that I'm not seeing the 2,000 is I think I need USB 4. So I want to verify this theory, and I'm going to plug this in over here to the USB 4 port, and then I'm going to run Crystal Disk Mark on it and see what kind of numbers we get. So this one is our USB 4 port. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Oh, I hope I'm seeing these 2,000 megabytes per second on this external storage, because that's going to blow my mind. Let me go back to put myself in a corner here, like so. And let me go full screen over here so I can see that desktop better. Okay, yeah, so it's an empty drive. I haven't used it yet. We're going to bring up Crystal Disk Mark. Crystal Disk Mark. Run the 64-bit version. And we're going to select the D drive. We're going to run all the tests. So now, let's see what our throughput is through that USB 4 to a USB 4 device. I think this is USB 4. No, I'm not getting 2,000. What's the credentials needed to get to 2,000? Sometimes you got to read the directions. USB 3.2 Gen 2.0 2x2. Okay, well, wait a minute. The USB on the back of this is what? I thought it was 2x2. There's so many different versions of USB 3, 3.1, 3.2, 3.2 Gen 2x2. I couldn't even tell you the specs on Gen 4. I didn't think anything Gen 4 was USB 4 was out yet. So I'm going to interrupt this test and move it to the back USB slots. I'm very skeptical that's going to make a difference, but I'm very curious. I was hopeful that USB 4 was going to do it, but that USB 4 really seems to be intended as another display output. I think that's the motivation behind it being there. So now I'm just going to use the USB Type-C to Type-A, and we'll plug that into the back here. Oh, you know what? I could have used the other Type-C in the front. Well, let's just run them all. Let's do this one, and then we'll do the front. Let me close this and reopen it so it redetects the drive. On drive D. I'm only interested in the top numbers. Let's see what I get this time. It's a little better, but it's still a far cry from 2,000. So I'm going to try one more time. Let's go ahead and stop this test. Let's stop that. And then let's unplug it from here. Let me put the Type-C to Type-C cable back on and move around to the front and do that super speed USB that's below the USB 4, or it's above it. USB 4 is down below. This is the one I want right there. That should be the fast one for this purpose, unless they're all going to the same controller. So let's find out. Now, yes, I could read the specs and see what that USB supports, but I'm the kind of guy that just wants to do it and see what the numbers say. I'm a big fan of reality versus theory, so I might be expecting something that this doesn't have, but this is how I learn. Yeah, so we're pretty much staying right around the same range. So I'm going to need a 2x2 in order to see that 2000 megabyte per second range. All right, well, now I know. I'm going to let this one just do the write speed as well because I'm kind of curious what we're going to see. William Dawson says, the fact it has USB 4 and it is as powerful as some desktops without the size shows that the mini computer has a place. Would be a great size for a project I have in mind. That's also great if you want to move it around. So Kitty Meow in the chat says USB Gen 2 is 10 gigabits per second. USB 4 is 40 gigabits per second. Limitation could be at the drive or the USB cable. These SanDisk drives are usually exactly what they say they are. They come with excellent cables. If it was a no-name brand, I'd agree with you, but my experience with these SanDisk, which is a Western Digital brand, is they do exactly what they say they're going to do. There's something I'm missing, which I will have to research later. I thought I would just plug it in and see what our results were because I want to see 2000 megabytes per second on this drive. That's why I bought it. It's also physically larger than the 2 terabyte version that's just 1000 megabytes per second. It is much bigger than the other version that runs at 1000. So at 2000, I don't know why that makes this thing bigger, but I'm still not getting better performance out of this than I am for the other ones. So there might be, this is a learning curve for me. There might be something I'm not doing as a prerequisite. I would assume it's plug and play, but I don't know. I'm missing something. So let me go back full screen over here and we can close this out. I want to make sure that drive doesn't have anything on it. It should be empty. Yeah, it's empty. When we bring up Crystal Disk Mark, there's no settings to change as far as whether you're writing to a mechanical drive, a solid state drive, an NVMe drive. They're all options that well, no, I take it back. This is new, NVMe SSD. What does that do? I always run Crystal Disk Mark just with the default settings. So for grins and giggles, we'll just see if that makes any difference. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention in the chat room because I wasn't aware that was there. And I don't like changing test settings because how do we compare things if we're not running under the exact same settings? How can we measure this against anything else unless we say, well, we have to put it onto the NVMe settings. So I'm not sure what that's changing, but it's not really helping us. Let me plug it back into the USB 4. We'll try it one more time with the SSD NVMe settings and shouldn't have to do that though. All right. Bizarre. You know, when I'm running a test of solid state NVMe drives, whether they're Gen 3 or Gen 4, I don't change anything, and I am seeing the speeds I'm supposed to see, including RAID. You know, we'll see speeds of 15,000. There's no change I necessarily need to make in the Crystal Disk Mark app. So I'm very curious what that's doing. Oh, it's just changing the number of threads, it looks like. So that's not important to me when I'm really focused on these two big numbers here. Still, see peak performance. It's pretty much locked in here, so I'm missing something. I've had enough of that. All right, let's keep moving on. Let me come around and unplug this and move it out of the way. And I'll play with that in my spare time. And if I figure it out, I'll let you know. So we'll just take this and set it over here. And where's my utilities flash drive? We'll run the temperature sensor on here. Let's grab a USB port here. I really should put my glasses on. I'm not doing it. Not going to do it. All right, let's go back over to PC testing and let's run HW info. I could torture this with Prime 95 just to see what'll happen. All right. So we've got our temps are really low. So far, so good. All right, so I'm going to run up Prime 95 and just torture this. Now, I would normally tell you don't expect the machine to run 20 minutes of Prime 95 if it's a mini PC. It's not really what they're built for. We're sort of punishing this thing, but I'd be very curious how it performs. Let me move this over here. Oops, I didn't want to bring that up. And then I start my timer. My timer. All right, so we got that going. Let me check my emails, see if I'm missing any messages from you guys that way. Ah, there's the $25 contribution sent by Luke Greenia in Vermont. Thank you again, Luke. And yeah, that's the only one I'm missing. All right. So, timer is counting down, and we'll keep an eye on those temps. They're climbing rather rapidly. We're at 74 degrees Celsius. But you know what? I'm still not really hearing this fan crank up. That's interesting. Let me go back to the chat and see what you guys are saying. Kitty Meow says, I've ordered this mini PC for $489 on Black Friday. Right on. It's very well made. I really like the thought process in this. I like the number of USB ports, the 2 HDMIs, the USB 4. And as far as built-in graphics go, they don't get much better than that without going to, the laptop NVIDIA chips. Z says, I was just thinking about those rubber pads. You could just drill a hole over the screws so you wouldn't have to remove to get inside. Yeah, as long as you're very careful and you know exactly where to drill that hole. And then you also got the little rubber circle pads, which you could also do, but you'd better be really careful. Obviously, I wouldn't do it with the pad attached to the computer. I would think that would be a bad idea. So if the pad's removed, and you've got to have something that keeps the pad from flexing on you while you're drilling through it. It'd be nice if they did that, if it just came that way. That would be a suggestion for improvement that I have. I don't really have much other suggestion for improvement here, though. Starshine says, what brand of laptop did you say yesterday that you prefer? Dell XPS? Yes. Dell XPS is what I personally use for my laptop. William Dawson says, if that computer can run Prime 95 for 20 minutes and not overheat, it's a solid machine. I would say if it doesn't overheat at 10 minutes, it would be almost unbelievable. I'd have a hard time believing. I really don't expect a machine of this caliber, of this size, with this limited airflow. I mean, they've done a good job with what they've got, but it's not like you have room in there for a giant radiator or a liquid cooler. You understand? So by its you could do it doesn't mean it would do it well. Let's take a quick look here at my let's go back full screen and take a look at what we're doing on temps. The fact that we're not seeing anything higher than 75, I think it might already be throttling. I don't know what the throttling point is, but it's supposed to throttle to prevent overheating situation from occurring. We're at 4 minutes since I started the timer, which was nearly a minute after I started the test. We could run, let's see, Control-Alt-Delete, bring up the task manager, click on more details, and click on performance and see what we're looking at here. Slamming that CPU, big time. Yeah, they're slamming this thing. This is not designed for this kind of torture, folks. I'm doing this more out of amusement. I can hear the fan running a little bit. It's still really quiet considering. Let me go back. Flipper Flop said the max operating temperature is a 95 degrees Celsius. Oh, well, that's good to know. So I guess maybe it's not throttling. Feral Sparky says, I'm impressed. Those temps look downright cool. Well, we're only at 5 minutes and 40 seconds since I started the timer. But yes, I'm actually quite surprised myself that it's doing as well as it is. Bootstrap wants to know if running Prime 95 overnight is overkill to check stability. Yeah, running it for 20 minutes is overkill. There's no way an end user is going to run a system legitimately, flat out, for that period of time without a break or a breather. It'd be like saying, I want to test my car, so I want to push the gas pedal all the way to the floor and let it just run like that overnight to see if my engine overheats. Where in the world would you be driving where you could just put your foot to the floor and you'd never have to let go of the gas and never have to brake? It just doesn't exist in the real world. So anything more than 15 or 20 minutes at the most is overkill. If you're flying through at 20 minutes, you're just adding a bunch of wear and tear onto your computer that's just unnecessary. It's torture. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't run it overnight. Have I reviewed framework laptops? No, they haven't reached out to me. I'm not going to purchase one to review it. And I've been through these framework style of laptops in the past. They introduced them in the 90s. They introduced them in the earlier 2000s. They always fail. Usually for something like that to work, you have to have a consortium where a number of manufacturers agree on standards. If one manufacturer decides what the standards are, good luck getting any other third-party manufacturers to join in. It would happen if all of a sudden people were buying these framework laptops, but because you can only buy framework parts from that manufacturer, they control availability and pricing without any competition. And they're not likely going to get any competition. Like I said, they need to form a consortium where other laptop or PC manufacturers agree to the standards. Then they'll have a better opportunity of succeeding, but even that doesn't necessarily guarantee. It's no different than beta versus VHS, or DVD-R versus DVD+R, or Blu-ray versus HD DVD. Everybody thinks they have a better system. And USB is a consortium, and the 802.11, that's a consortium. It's not one manufacturer making all the decisions for everybody. Intel thinks Thunderbolt is better than USB, but you got to pay a licensing fee for Thunderbolt, and a lot of companies don't want to pay that because it means they have to sell the computer for more money. So a lot of people don't use Thunderbolt. It costs more money, and USB suits their needs just fine. So that's where we run into these issues. So the concept of framework has been done at least twice before. They've all failed. And unless somebody else jumps into the manufacturing so they have some competition and more options of choice for what you can add or remove from the laptop, it's just going to fail the same as they have in the past. If Framework wants to send me a laptop, I'm happy to review it though. But in the meantime, you're just buying a proprietary format of which Framework controls effectively the availability and pricing. I'm not a big fan of that. If I wanted that, I'd go to Apple. Whether or not that's Framework's intention, Framework can't force other manufacturers to build compatible product. That's why you have a consortium, and that's why you all agree, and that's why when the product is introduced, it's typically introduced by at least 2 or 3 companies around the same period of time. So consumers have a choice, and they know stepping into it that they're not rolling the dice on a product that could be abandoned for lack of being sustainable. Garfield wants to know, setting up that mini PC on a laptop fan would help cool it down. No, because laptop fans, they're blowing air up into the bottom of the laptop. These vents are on the side, and 2 vents are input vents and 2 vents are output vents. The best thing you can do is leave it alone. It's running as it's intended to run. Trying to outsmart the engineers, I think, is a futile effort. They've engineered this very well. It's very well thought out. It doesn't require improvement. As you can see, well, let me check now, see how it's been doing, because we're just crossed over the 10-minute mark and I haven't been paying attention. So let's see where my temps are now. Boy, we're just locked in there below 80. I mean, that seems difficult to believe. I'm not quite sure how they're doing that. There's some voodoo happening here, because I should hear that fan cranking up and it ain't doing it. And you can see from the charts, we are just maxing out our CPU, every core on the CPU. Intermittently, we're maxing out the RAM. As we scroll down and look at the memory here, down, you'll see when Prime 95 intermixes the CPU tests and the RAM tests, just going off the default settings on Prime 95 version 26.6. It's performing far better than I thought it was going to. And now I want to know how this is possible, because it shouldn't be happening. We should be reaching a throttling point by now with pretty much any mini PC. So they got some pretty clever engineering at play here, whatever that is. And my video's in the way. Let me get my video out of the way. And of course, if you have questions for me, go ahead and put that in the chat room. If you've asked a question I haven't addressed, it's because I haven't seen it. So just put your question in the chat again. Flipper Flop wants to know the ambient temperature in the studio. I think it's 72, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Are they using the case as cooling too? No, I mean the case, well, you know what, I take it back. I think one of the panels on the case is a big heat shield, now that you mention it. And this is warm to the touch, and I can feel hot air coming out of the top. I mean, it's warm, very warm. But it doesn't seem to be too warm based on the performance numbers we're seeing. Is it melting the case? Not even close. No, it's not hot to touch. It's warm to touch. Yeah. Ron Barnish says maybe the liquid metal is helping. Oh, for sure it's helping. Absolutely. Where are we on the timer? We're 14 minutes in. Les Stevenson said this little mini lean fighting machine of a computer is well worth the price. I agree, yeah. Try and build an equivalent desktop for this price. Let me go full screen on my side here so I can see this a little better. Are we still adding 25 degrees to the temp on an AMD? I can't remember if we're still doing that. I'm still liking the temps. Everything's running just like it would on a desktop PC, which again, I would adjust my expectations on a mini PC as I would a laptop because of the strict confines of the operating environment, meaning we cannot have a very large heatsink in there. We can't have a liquid cooler there. We don't have space for it. These machines aren't designed for that. I guess until now. Clearly this will have no problem doing video editing on 4K video. It has no problem gaming, certainly at 1080 with pretty much every game out there. I'm having a hard time to find anything to complain about. The price is very, very attractive for this. It's very well built. Am I missing something? You guys have any concerns? Is there something that might be a flaw that I haven't caught? Because I'm not finding one, and I'm looking. Remember, the RAM in this is DDR5. So if you price out how much DDR5 RAM is, if you get this fully loaded, it's still a bargain. If you price those individual components out, I think it's actually cheaper to have them build it out for you than for you to buy the bare bones and do it yourself if you're going to max it out. However, you certainly can do bare bones and then, get it at that $499 price point, throw whatever RAM you want in there, that, you know, whatever manufacturer, whatever speed, and the same with the solid state drive. I'd be kind of curious how much you'd spend when it was all added up versus just getting it already done. So there are multiple versions of this computer with different specifications. Once again, the link for the website is in the video notes below this video. So if you click on that, you go to their website and you'll see this particular model is available for pre-sale. It ships at the end of December, the end of this month. And you'll see you can build it out either as a bare bones, where you supply your own RAM and your own solid state drive and your own operating system, $500. Or you can do it with different combinations of RAM and storage at different price points. So if you want to max everything out, of course, you're going to be looking at the maximum price. Evolutionary Mishap in the chat room said the price for what parts are included in this is hard to believe. It has minor quirks, but nothing I would see as an issue. All right, we are crossing over the 19-minute mark. I'm getting ready to shut down Prime 95 because I'm more than satisfied and impressed that it's done as well as it has here. So let me go back to my full screen mode. And, oh, you know what? Let's turn camera 1 back on now. And again, let me go back to full screen. And so our temps, our current temp, the lowest temp since we started this application, the maximum temp we've hit. Of course, then we have the average. I don't care about the average. I care about where we're at right now and what's the highest we've hit. I'm impressed. Let's see how fast it cools down when we stop the test. We'll go to test, we'll hit stop, and click OK. Let's see how fast these temps drop. I gotta say, the difference in the fan noise is very subtle. It's nowhere near as loud as I was expecting it to get. Not even close. And it didn't get as hot as I thought it was gonna get. So I'm impressed. Again, I'm not paid to make these videos. They sent me the product for free for me to evaluate it. When I saw the specs on it, when they offered it, I was like, yes, I want to check this out. And that is very impressive. You've seen it here. You know, this is the same test I run equally on all machines. I don't expect to run this on like PCs on a stick or mini PCs and expect it to pass. Again, because their diminutive size and limited ability to cool, it's just not a fair thing to do to them. But somehow this survives, and it does it apparently without so much as breaking a sweat. So again, I'm not quite sure what they're doing there. Now, if we want to look into the BIOS and see what the settings are and what we can do, this should be overclockable. So we can close this out. Just close all this out. And let's restart. We should be able to go to settings, Windows Update, maybe just troubleshoot. No, let me go Windows Update. Oh, Windows 11 has moved stuff around. Where is it at? Recovery, advanced startup. Oh, it's actually started. I thought it was going to give me an advanced menu. All right, let's just hit delete over and over and over again. See if we get into the BIOS here. Usually it's delete or F1 or F2. All right, here's our BIOS. Static controller settings. Thermal controls. Hardware monitor. Smart fan function. These are all things we can change. This is a full BIOS, not like you're going to get on a pre-built where they lock you out of a bunch of stuff. This is a full configurable BIOS, just like if you built a machine yourself. That's a pleasure to see, especially for enthusiasts and folks who want to play with before I say it, let me just make sure. Yeah, so this has got the date and time from the country it was built in, so we're not off that far. If I want to fix it though, I mean, I can change this to the 16th and change the time to, what is it, 1652, 1652. All right, can we overclock it? Maybe not, maybe not. Usually that would be in here. Real-time clock, network stack, graphics. No, you know what? I don't see the options to do that in here. Apparently they've locked it in, but I don't know that I could approve this. I mean, not without potentially creating a problem where the system could crash. So I mean, I'm fine with that. But this sure did, from the first time I went in here, it's like, wow, this looks like a fully enabled BIOS, but now I don't see the voltage and clock settings, so that is locked out. But I'm okay with that. Yeah, no, I think that's great. That means you can't screw it up. That's why I'm a fan. I'm okay with that. All right, do you guys have any other questions for me? We're going to wrap it up here. I like to keep these around 2 hours, and we're just climbing on 2 hours now on the broadcast. I'm going to go ahead and stop my stopwatch on my timer there. And I don't see any other messages there, so we're caught up there. Okay, final questions, final thoughts. Oh, that's the advanced menu I was looking for earlier. I am still not accustomed to Windows 11. I don't really have any customers running it, so probably next year I'll start to familiarize myself with it more. But in the meantime, I'll struggle trying to find where Microsoft has moved some stuff around. I know it's in there. The vast majority of services that I offer for my clients are all Windows 10, and it's been around for years now, so I know it well, and I will eventually know Windows 11 well as the need to know that becomes necessary. So I'm not doing it till I have to. All right. It's an old school looking BIOS. Yeah, it is kind of a classic looking BIOS, isn't it? Pat Kennedy says, great show. Thank you, Pat. John Doe says, thanks for the reviews, Carrie. Extremely informative and entertaining. Right on, John. Thank you. Starshine says, thanks and have a good one, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Hey, we're going to be a number of shows before Christmas, so. Hugh says, great stream as usual. Hey, thank you, Hugh. Again, thanks to Phil over at Miniforums for sending me the PC for review. And hopefully we'll get some others in the future from them because I got great respect for this company and their ingenuity. I get really bored of companies that just do what everybody else is doing. I like to see a company sort of break through and set a pace for everybody else to keep up with. And so I think this is the very first Minisforum PC I've ever tested, as far as I can remember. And now I'm anxious to test some more to see if they're all engineered that well, because that's really impressive. Robert Jones says hello. John Beard says thank you for years of training you've provided. Well, right on, and hopefully years more are coming. We share experiences. Dwayne says there's out-of-the-box thinking with this PC. I think it's the opposite. There's really in-the-box thinking, right? Because it's really small, and they've really done a great job cooling. That's probably the best cooled mini PC I've ever seen to this day. I mean, that's a high-end processor. Feral Sparky says, have a fantastic night, everyone. Hope you all have a great dinner. Ooh, dinner sounds good. Russell Starr says, thanks, Kerry. A very interesting mini PC. I'm going to look into it. Once again, the links for the Minisforum website, which include the pre-order for this PC along with the other PCs they have with different form factors and specs, both Intel and AMD, are in the link in the show notes below this video. And of course, you can always rewind the video where I go through the website with you if you want to do it that way as well. And I strongly recommend you buy direct from the manufacturer. You'll get a better deal than if you buy it from another, like Amazon or whatever. I would go right to the manufacturer for the best money savings. Jose Del Nido says, hey, Uncle Kerry, got here late, but I'll watch it later, and kudos. Yeah, absolutely. It'll be available to watch instantly, although it might take a while before you'll see the chat replay or the HD option, because YouTube has to process it. So just bear in mind, if you go to watch this video back, if the picture looks blurry, it's probably because the resolution's low, maybe in standard definition. It takes a couple hours in most cases for YouTube to process the video and for the chat replay to occur. So if that's the case and you want to watch it in high def with the chat replay, give it a couple hours. It's currently almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon here on Friday, December 16, 2022 in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you're watching at any other time, then you're watching a replay of the live video. And again, in the comments section, you will see a comment section below the video when it's a replay. There is no comment section while I am live. That's another way to tell if you're watching a live video or a replay of a live video. And that's universal across YouTube. So hopefully it clears up some confusion because of the time zone differences. But I always broadcast every Friday at 1 o'clock Arizona time, which is currently 12 noon Pacific time or 3 p.m. Eastern time. Arizona never adjusts their clocks for daylight saving time. So when we enter into spring and the Pacific time moves their clocks forward 1 hour, then they move up to match our time in Arizona. So here in Phoenix, we align with Pacific time half of the year. We're 1 hour ahead of Pacific time in the fall for the other half of the year. So that's where we're currently at. Thank you to my members, and thank you for all the super chat contributions today from folks like Peter Laycock. I missed one here. Looks like Craig Casabona contributed $20. Thank you, Craig. Thank you for supporting the show. And Dwayne Blackwelder, as well as Bob R., who just extended his membership. He's now a member for 7 months. K. Cordius Technology, thanks for your contribution and your feedback on that heck of a deal router, that RAX 120 over at Amazon. Open box returned item, listed as used for $115. That's 50% off. It's an amazing router. And of course, our good friend, Peter Laycock, we call him Buster. Thank you, Buster. And thanks to all of you for participating in the chat and for hanging out with us today. Be sure and check out Minisforum website if you're at all interested in these small form factor PCs and you want something that's well engineered and not just something cookie cutter that some manufacturer slaps their name on. And if you have one, let us know what your experience is, what your thoughts of it are in the comments below. Thanks again to the folks at Minisforum for providing this machine for review. And as I mentioned, I'm looking forward to reviewing future mini PCs from Minisforum Because if they're all built to this standard, well, they're setting a new bar, folks. Thank you again for hanging out. XRod666 just contributed $10 via Super Chat. Thank you for that, XRod666, right under the wire. Thank you to Camera Girl for the close-ups.
You're welcome.
And I will see you all very, very soon. Until next time, bye for now.